good evening, Ridhima and the other panelists. You see, in this competitive world, feminism will be beaten 100 years back. Secondly, it is a self-goal. You lose many opportunities in the jobs.
Okay.
And it is as far as this.
So you're saying this move will actually be counterproductive for women because they will miss out on opportunities. As I said, every time we speak about period leave, it continues to garner a lot of sharp reactions. Unfortunately, I will have to leave that conversation there. I'd like to thank all the callers and all our guests as well. With that, it's a wrap from my side, but news continues here on CNN News 18.
Staying with us, it's been a week since Bihar Education Minister, after addressing a university program, made remarks against Hindu text Ramcharitmanas, which is Tulsidasa's rendition of Ramayana. Bihar Minister Chandrasekhar, remember, had admonished Ramcharitmanas, calling it divisive and hateful to backward classes. While Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar of the JDU has objected to his comment after much pressure, all he has done is express his inability to do anything else, because the minister concerned comes from alliance partner RJD under their quota. There is no action by the Chief Minister. So what does the RJD say on this issue? Its leader Tejashwi Yadav endorsed his partyman's comment, saying everyone has freedom of speech in India given by the Constitution. Do you know what the same RJD was saying and doing on Nupur Sharma's comment on the Prophet, for example? They had called her words poisonous, blamed BJP for spreading linguistic terror in India and make brothers fight with brothers. One of them said they will write to the president to demand strict action against Nupur. Today, many RJD members say that Chandrasekhar's comment have a context, that he's only talking about a few lines in Ramcharitmanas. Let me add, the minister actually wanted Ramcharitmanas to be burnt like Manusmriti, he said. So there is context to attack on Hindu texts. Nupur Sharma was only quoting a text. Many Islamic scholars themselves have argued that what she said was correct as per Islamic text. Then what was all the outrage about? And if what she did was wrong because it hurt sentiment, why is the same yardstick not applied to the RJD minister? After all, he is not a party spokesperson, but an actual minister, that too an education minister. What if he carries these biases against Hindu texts into his policies, his decisions? But alas, there is no condemnation or outrage over his comments. His comments have a context. Today we remember freedom of speech. All of this was forgotten earlier, to the extent that there was widespread rioting in India. And Nupur's life continues to be in danger till today. You know the kicker in all of this? It is Hindus who are called intolerant in India. We debate the clear hypocrisy and duplicity over freedom of speech in India, especially when it comes to religious beliefs. Why is this a one-way street? We take this to our guests in just a bit, but let me break down this duplicity. Remember what Mamata Banerjee said, let me point out, on Nupur Sharma. She said, we strongly condemn these remarks. There's a greater design to spread hate as far as this comment is concerned. On the Bihar Education Minister's comment, no comment. Akhilesh Yadav, on Nupur, he said that not only Nupur, the body, which he meant the BJP, should also apologize and be punished for these comments. On Bihar Minister, he's virtually backed his comment, saying we are not in favor of anything that creates distance and discrimination. Basically, he's suggesting that he agrees with Chandrasekhar that Ramcharitmanas does so, because he also quoted some other Hindu writers to put it in context. P. Chidambaram, senior Congress leader, on Nupur Sharma, he had said that she is not the original creator of Islamophobia. These people are only trying to be more loyal than the king, basically that her bosses are worse. On Bihar Minister, no comment. Congress is of course a player in Bihar, close to the RJD. Let's talk about the RJD itself, the party that the minister belongs to. On Nupur, as I mentioned, they had said that these are poisonous words of BJP and these are well-planned actions. These poisonous words are well-planned by BJP leaders because they want to spread division and hatred amongst the society and amongst different communities. On Bihar minister, they are saying that everyone has a right to express in a democracy. Then why not for Nupur? debates what she said too. It's not a matter of debate anymore, in fact. It's an established fact that there is hypocrisy on respect for religions in India, where there's been a consistent one-way attack on Hinduism because we are just supposed to take it. Remember, 2007, UPA government had said that there is no historical proof of Ram. Okay, but will they question the religious figures from other faiths? Will they say the same for them? 2009, Rahul Gandhi, senior Congress leader, had said that radical Hindu groups are a bigger threat to India in context of Islamic terror. Will they condemn Islamic terror, shades of which we see day in, day out, even in India and abroad? 2021, comedian Farooqi had made indecent remarks in full public view, on tape, on Hindu deities. I ask, will a comedian survive? Post comments on other religions and their figures? And this is not a rhetorical question, this is a very real question. Remember, Salman Rushdie was attacked almost fatally decades after his book Satanic Verses. That was not even a comedy show. Just this month, Jagdanand Singh of the RJD had said that Ram temple is being built on hate. I wonder, why are they silent on the hate of the invaders who destroyed the original Ram temple? Now, this month again, Bihar Minister Chandrasekhar says that Ramcharitmanas spreads hate. He has buckled out. He has said nothing wrong. His party has also defended him. Why are they silent on other religious texts? Is everyone preaching love only? So the big debate that's coming up today, is free speech a one-way street in India? And if so, why?
देश किससे चलता है? मेरा मानना है कि देश का जो संविधान है वो सबसे पवित्र किताब है और देश जो है संविधान से चलता है और इस संविधान में सबको आज़ादी है कि भाई अपनी बात वो रख सके, लेकिन संविधान ये भी बताता है कि यहाँ हर धर्म का मान और सम्मान जो है किया जाना चाहिए।
का व्यू है, कोई भी धर्म को मानने वाला हो उसमें किसी भी तरह तक उसमें इंटरफेरेंस नहीं करना चाहिए।
Let's take this to our guest joining us. Dhananjay Giri is from the BJP. Amjad Tamanna is joining us from the RJD. I'm also joined by Alok Srivastav, who's advocate on record in Supreme Court. Professor Sangeet Ragi, political analyst, leans towards the RSS, is joining us. Atikur Rahman is Islamic scholar. Professor Sangeet Ragi, why don't I begin with you? Is it any debate anymore that there is clear duplicity and hypocrisy on what you can say on religion, who you can criticize, what you can question in India?
I would begin with something else, Shivani. Did you hear in any part of the country that the head of the person, the minister, should be rolled down? Did you hear in any part of the country that the Hindus are on streets and say Sartan se juda? No. Why? Because we have always been so liberal, always have been so generous, and most importantly, we have allowed criticism of
the faith.
Yeah, of the faith. And also they have questioned. We have a Charvak Darshan, where the materialist culture is, materialism is completely debunking the whole spiritual legacy now. Here is Swami Dayanand Saraswati, who is questioning deity, popular Hinduism, but nobody has issued any kind of a fatwa against them. This is our culture, and therefore we never believe in making any abusive languages against any religion. Look at others. When somebody is quoting some portion from a particular scripture, then she or he is subjected to death warrant. This is not only in India. Globally. Everywhere in the world. It's a global phenomena. So you can see the difference. And since I'm telling you, it would all have stopped had the Hindus community would have also reacted in a way the Muslim community reacts.
Whether we should or not, I'll come to that question
No,
in just a bit.
I want to add, quickly I want to add, the Hindu society should not act the way
Others
the Muslim
do. Okay.
community
But
act.
at the same time, in a Hindu
But
majority
at the same
country,
time, but at
in
the
a
same time,
country
just
with
two
vast
seconds, just
historical
two
Hindu,
seconds.
one second, in a country with vast historical Hindu faith, and of course the faith comes from this land, the culture comes from this land, Hindu faith and culture, Sanatana Dharma, very intrinsically linked. They can't be divorced from each other. You cannot also have people who have different standards of how each religion should be treated. My question is on duplicity. Either you condemn both or you accept both. Let me take that to our RJD representative. Amjad Tamanna is joining us. Simple सा सवाल अमजद जी सिर्फ यही है कि जब नुपुर शर्मा कुछ बोलती हैं तो आपके लोगों ने प्रोटेस्ट तक किया था और आप तो उलेमाओं के साथ मिलके आपने जवाबदेही मांगी थी नुपुर शर्मा की और बीजेपी की, एक्शन मांगा था, पनिशमेंट मांगा था। आपके मिनिस्टर जो बोल रहे हैं उस पे आप सेम क्यों नहीं प्रतिक्रिया करते हो?
नहीं, जो हमारे शिक्षा मंत्री चंद्रशेखर जी का जो बयान है उसको तोड़ मरोड़ के पेश किया गया है। उसको धर्म के आड़ में आपसी तफरका फैलाने की कोशिश की जा रही है।
कैसे तोड़ा मोड़ा है बताइए?
बीजेपी की एक बहुत बड़ी साजिश है।
कैसे साजिश है आप बताइए ना। मैंने सुना तेजस्वी जी का बयान भी, वो साजिश 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 कर रहे हैं। कैसे साजिश है बताइए ना।
देश संविधान से चलेगा, देश जो है धर्म से थोड़ी चलेगा।
तो हमने तो नहीं बोला चलेगा।
ये कहा है कि मोहब्बत से देश को चलाया जाएगा, नफरत से नहीं चलाया जा सकता है।
तो इससे कौन इनकार कर रहा है? मैं आपसे पूछ रही हूँ, उन्होंने जो रामचरितमानस के ऊपर बोला उसके बारे में बताइए ना। यही किसी और किताब के बारे में बोला होता तो क्या आप मानते?
नहीं, हमारी पार्टी सारे धर्मों का सम्मान करती है।
कैसे
और हमारी
कर रहे
पार्टी के
हैं?
अंदर हर धर्म के लोग हैं और ऐसा अगर कैसे हो सकता है किसी और धर्म का कोई विरोध कर सकता है? ये सरासर जो है इल्जाम है और ये बेबुनियाद इल्जाम है।
बिल्कुल नहीं है सर, आप कितना भी इसको झूठा समझाने की कोशिश करिए, उन्होंने ऑन कैमरा ये बाइट दी है। उसके बाद एक दिन बाद, एक सेकंड रुकिए, उसके एक दिन बाद उन्होंने कहा है कि मैंने कुछ गलत नहीं बोला, मैं दोबारा बोलता हूँ।
जा सकता है।
नहीं, आप रुकिए, एक सेकंड रुकिए, अमजद जी रुकिए। देखिए, ऐसे मैच्योर डिबेट नहीं हो सकती कि आप बस ये बोल दे कि ये साजिश है। ये सबने सुना है, आपको पता ही होगा, ये सबने उठाया है।
हमने भी सुना है, हमने भी देखा है।
तो बताइए क्या बोला था उन्होंने, बताइए।
आखिरी बार में भी उन्होंने कहा है कि मोहब्बत से चलेगा देश।
वो बात ठीक है, रामचरितमानस पे क्या बोला है उन्होंने, ये बताइए ना।
अगर देखिए, अगर आपको लगता है तो सरकार बैठी है, सरकार इसके बारे में जांच करेगी, उस पर जो भी कार्रवाई किया जाएगा।
मैंने तो नहीं बोला कार्रवाई के लिए, मैं आपसे पहले तो ये समझने की कोशिश कर रही हूँ कि आप इनकार कैसे कर रहे हैं कि जो उन्होंने बोला यही किसी और धर्म की किताब के ऊपर बोला होता तो आप ऐसे नहीं बोलते।
नहीं, किसी भी धर्म के खिलाफ अगर कोई बात होती है तो उसका विरोध होना चाहिए।
तो आपने अपने मिनिस्टर पे एक्शन क्यों नहीं लिया? तेजस्वी यादव आज आके बोल रहे हैं कि कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन से हमें फ्रीडम मिलती है, तो नुपुर शर्मा के पास फ्रीडम नहीं थी क्या?
नहीं, बिल्कुल फ्रीडम है।
तो फिर आपने तब क्यों ऑब्जेक्ट किया था?
नहीं, हमारे उप मुख्यमंत्री माननीय तेजस्वी जी ने कहा है कि देश जो है संविधान से चलता है।
ये सबको पता है, उनको कहने की जरूरत नहीं है। आप अपनी डुप्लिसिटी बताइए ना। आप तो इनकार कर रहे हैं कि आपके मिनिस्टर ने क्या बोला है। मैं एक्चुअली बीजेपी रिप्रेजेंटेटिव के पास जाना चाहती हूँ, गिरी जी के पास। गिरी जी, आप ही के पार्टी के जो प्रवक्ता है निखिल आनंद, उन्होंने एक वीडियो जारी किया था जिसमें ये सेम एजुकेशन मिनिस्टर ये बोलते हुए सुनाई दे रहे हैं कि इस्लाम इज द ओनली रिलीजन दैट गिव्स मैसेज ऑफ लव एंड ऑनेस्टी। अब आप इनके दोनों बयानों को कंपेयर कर लें तो ये तो बहुत मोटिवेटेड इंडिविजुअल लग रहे हैं।
शिवानी जी, देखिए, ये एक ट्रेंड बन गया है भारतवर्ष में, एक पूरी तरह से ट्रेंड बन गया है कि बहुसंख्यक समाज को, इस देश के सनातनियों को, हिंदुओं को टारगेट किया जाए, उनके फेथ पर, उनके रिलीजन पर हमला किया जाए। ये सोची समझी साजिश का हिस्सा है, ये अपीजमेंट पॉलिटिक्स का हिस्सा है। अगर आप चंद्रशेखर के दोनों बयान को उठाकर देखिए, एक दिन उन्होंने बयान दिया, दूसरे दिन उन्होंने उसको फिर उसकी तस्दीक की कि हाँ मैं उस पर एग्री हूँ, तीसरे दिन उन्होंने फिर उस बात को कहा कि ना मैं जिस बात पे कायम हूँ, और वही नहीं, उनकी पूरी पार्टी खड़ी है और मोर और लेस जो डिप्टी चीफ मिनिस्टर ने जो बात कही है उससे वो उसकी बात को इंडोर्स ही कर रहे हैं, वो उनको कंडेम नहीं कर रहे हैं। और सबसे बड़ी बात, पैथेटिक सिचुएशन जो है वो बिहार की ये है कि मुख्यमंत्री नीतीश कुमार जो बात कर रहे हैं वो एडवाइजर के भूमिका में है, वो एडवाइस दे रहे हैं कि किसी को भी नहीं बोलना चाहिए, लेकिन जो बोल चुका है उस पर मान्यवर आप क्या कार्रवाई करेंगे?
हाँ,
ये
सही बात
बताने
कह
के
रहे
लिए
हैं।
न सीएम तैयार है न डिप्टी सीएम तैयार है। यहाँ सब लोग राय दे रहे हैं, और अगर आपने किसी अन्य धर्म के खिलाफ बोला होता तो आज रोड पर छाती पीट रहे होते कि एक ही सजा सरतन से जुदा, सरतन से जुदा,
देश संविधान से चलेगा।
गुलाम गुस्ताख रसूल की एक ही सजा सरतन से जुदा,
अमजद
सरतन
जी,
से
ये
जुदा।
देश
ये
संविधान
आज
से
गाया
चलेगा,
जा रहा
ये
होता
तो तब
सड़कों
भी
पर,
कह रहे थे
ये
लोग।
नंगा नाच चल रहा होता।
गिरी जी एक सेकंड, ये देश संविधान से चलेगा उसको किसी से ऐतराज नहीं है। ये तो हम तब भी कह रहे थे जब नुपुर शर्मा की गर्दन काटने की लोग बात कर रहे थे। जब उदयपुर में, रुक जाइए, उदयपुर में कन्हैया लाल की गर्दन काट दी, तब भी लोग यही कह रहे थे कि संविधान से देश चलना चाहिए। मैं सिर्फ ये पूछ रही हूं कि आप मैं सुना देती हूं आपको। आपके एक स्पोक्सपर्सन है मृत्युंजय तिवारी, उन्होंने चंद्रशेखर के बयान पे क्या बोला कि हिज कॉन्टेक्स्ट वाज डिफरेंट, ही इज नॉट क्वेश्चनिंग लॉर्ड राम और रामायण, ही इज ओनली रेजिंग क्वेश्चंस ऑन अ फ्यू पर्टिकुलर सेंटेंसेस। फेयर इनफ, कोई दिक्कत नहीं। नुपुर शर्मा में क्या बोला था मृत्युंजय तिवारी ने? These are efforts to divert the country from real issues. Poisonous words of BJP leaders and spokespersons are well planned. The kind of linguistic terror that BJP wants to create to make brothers fight with brothers is not surprising. तब आपको हेट दिखती है, इसमें आपको हेट नहीं दिखी थी?
शर्मा ने इस्लाम के प्रवर्तक पर उंगली उठाई थी, यहाँ कोई धर्म पर उंगली नहीं उठाया। उन्होंने ये कहा है कि रामचरितमानस से देश को और देश के गरीबों को फायदा नहीं है।
अब आप मान रहे हैं कि रामचरितमानस पे कुछ बोला है?
धर्म का विरोध नहीं
पहले
किया।
तो आप मान नहीं रहे थे।
No, it was not like that.
He didn't say this exactly. आप उनके वर्ड्स को बहुत मॉडिफाई कर रहे हैं। संगीत रागी, उन्होंने क्लियरली बोला था कि रामचरितमानस नफरत फैलाती है, बैकवर्ड क्लासेस और विमेन के खिलाफ। उन्होंने कहा था कि इसको मनुस्मृति की तरह जला देना चाहिए। अब आप शर्म ना करें उनके बयान से।
Exactly, Shivani, the minister had spoken a language of hate against Ramcharitmanas and concluded that Ramcharitmanas consists of hate against Dalit, Muslims and other communities. So it should be treated just like as Manu Smriti, despite the fact that people do not know about the Manu Smriti. Manu Smriti is just one of the Smritis, several Smritis, and Gita is said to be the Adi. My answer to them is very clear. Why Rahul Gandhi, why the Congress party is not coming out on a street to oppose the minister? Why the secular brigade, including those journalists who used to take pride in going to the social media and hurling several kind of parabolic speeches and the sentences on the screen, are maintaining a stoic silence today? That's my question.
Yeah, that is my question.
Just because Hindus tolerate all abuses, tomorrow, and I'm making it tomorrow, if they are making that way Hindu aggressive, and Hindus start, if responding in the same fashion the Muslim community does, then nobody should be nobody should hold Hindu community responsible for that, because they are cornering. And you know that एक चींटी भी यदि उसको कॉर्नर करते हैं तो काटती है. If you behave this way, then the Hindus' awareness would be trying to respond in a consolidated manner you never would have thought of.
Yeah, the worst is this is happening from people.
The worst kind of secularism that the Congress party practiced in last 70 years.
And that is why it has become part of our.
That is why the
Hindus
Hindus
become
are
part of our
reacting to
nature,
this
that we don't react. Yes,
Yeah.
Mr. Giri, please finish. I'll go across to Mr. Srivastav next. You have asked for the minister to be sacked, but it doesn't look like either the RJD or the JDU are going to do it.
See, Chandrasekhar has done blunder. He must leave the post on his foolish words. Everyone is shocked on his worthless speech in Nalanda University. People are puzzled with Nitish and his incompetent co-op. It is very easy to understand the mindset of people on Lord Ram. We breathe, meet, eat, sleep and die with the name Ram Naam Satya hai. So he is almighty for us. Chandrasekhar represents him as a person of hate through the symbolic attack on the Ramcharitmanas. He has no right to hold the post in Bihar where Ramcharitmanas was firstly cited. And you know who has written first Ramayana? Maharishi Valmiki. Nowadays, if today's context, if you will talk, in which community? In Valmiki community belongs to which? So Ram is the ever time iconic fellow of our any Hindu Sanatani or Indian society. So he attacked directly on Ramcharitmanas and on Ram. So he must be sacked. And nowadays, in today's context, if you are talking about Bihar Chief Minister, Mr. Nitish Kumar, he become advisor. So a Chief Minister has not a role to give advice. Chief Minister is the person who has to take action if anyone does anything wrong. He is the cabinet member, and he is the cabinet member of him. So how pathetic situation of Bihar.
No, you're
happened,
right. You look at the comments, the tone and tenor of how someone will, even if they do condemn, first of all, they won't bother, as I have just shown. If somebody condemns or criticizes a Hindu text or slams Hinduism, they will say it's okay, we come from a culture where we tolerate this, we promote debate, we promote internal criticism, all of that is fine. I'm for it too. But apply those standards equally to all. You cannot make exceptionalism for one while others can fend for themselves. It doesn't work like that in a secular democracy. Standards have to be same. I go across to Alak Srivastav, who's an advocate. Unfortunately, Alak, the problem in the country is that even the legal judicial system views insult of Hinduism versus insult of other religions differently. And we have seen that play out repeatedly.
See, kindly give me 2 minutes uninterrupted. First and foremost, I would like to tell you the context in which these verses have been quoted in Ramcharitmanas. There is a discussion between Kak Bhushundi and Garud in Uttarkand of Ramcharitmanas, wherein certain things have been narrated by Kak Bhushundi in his own version about his last worth. That is one verse which the said Minister of Bihar has quoted. Second verse pertains to a response given by sea when Bhagwan Ram, Lord Ram was trying to cross the sea and go to Lanka, and he was angry. So these two verses have been absolutely quoted in without any context, without assigning the meaning which has been assigned by Sri Tulsidas ji in the Ramcharitmanas. So this minister has definitely said something which is incorrect and out of context. I give him open challenge, and I'm really thankful to you that you have provided me this platform, national television today. I give him open challenge if he can debate with me, or he can debate with anyone who has really read Ramcharitmanas. These two things which he has quoted are out of context, are not the preachings or some teachings which have been given in the Ramcharitmanas. So he should apologize for that. Now this is about what he has said. Now second question is why he has said so. The first reason is definitely for appeasement politics. The second reason is to create divide in Hindu society. And you know, if we see the history, starting from Pakistan, formation of or creation of Pakistan to creation of Bangladesh to Kashmir unrest, we see that how Hindus have been divided and then their genocides and they have been expelled from their own land. So these are all subtle efforts to somehow create unrest and divide in the Hindu community. Now coming to the constitution which Mr. Tejasvi Yadav referred, Constitution not only gives a right to freedom of speech and expression, that right is not an absolute right. As a lawyer, I am aware and you are also aware that that right is bound by the provisions of Article 19(2), which say that if your speeches, your expressions are going to incite some offense, are going to cause some offense in India, you are not allowed to say so.
No, this one second. This is exactly what I'm coming at. Alok, I appreciate your intervention.
Just give me 60 seconds.
I'll come back to you. One second. No, let me intervene here.
Give me 60 seconds.
The Constitution I'm sorry, no, one second. Alak, just 1 second. I'll give you 60 seconds. Let me intervene. The Constitution is not equally applied on all speech. That is my contention. Look at what the court said on Nupur Sharma.
Absolutely,
even though what she has said is written in Islamic text.
There is a double standard. No, but ultimately, if you are questioning Supreme Court, see, there are all kind of judgments. The same Nupur Sharma was ultimately provided protection
by Supreme Court. That was an observation. It wasn't a judgment.
On that.
We have that much to thank for.
No, ultimately, yes. But see, kindly just hear me for few more seconds. What I'm trying to say is this. The person who is now citing Constitution, the Deputy Chief Minister of Bihar, who is now taking shelter of Constitution, instead of apologizing on behalf of his minister and instead of kicking him out from the cabinet, he should read the Constitution properly. Constitution nowhere allows his ministers to say these things to hurt the sentiments of Hindu people. And as you very rightly said at the outset, that just because Hindus are tolerant, this should not become a fashion to corner them, to abuse them, to humiliate them to an extent which is absolutely not tolerable. Kindly see, these are all provocations given to Hindus, and these are all being done for petty political benefits. And I believe that the only solution lies with the people. People have to boycott this kind of ministers. If this person is taken away from his ministerial berth, he won't be having any relevance.
Exactly,
he won't be shown in the media.
Who have
So
what I feel is
there has to be
are the people who
legal
repeatedly
action.
are guilty of ignoring insults to Hindus. If these insults were not ignored, if there was not systemic bias against Hindus in our warped secularism in the country, frankly, there would be no need for quote-unquote Hindutva in the country. So they are responsible for the Hindutva that they so hate.
We are very civilized.
I want to go across to Atikur Rahman. Alak, please
we are
concede.
very civilized
Please seat. I have to go to our other guest. Atikur Rahman, the problem is exactly this. You know, when tempers, are hot, because we repeatedly see different standards and yardsticks applied to somebody's faith and somebody's sentiments. That is the problem. There is division in society. Otherwise, there is no division. Everybody wants to equally have respect for their religion.
No, Shivani, please, I have a very different take on this. But please allow me to complete my say. First of all, we and I, mainly the liberal Muslims, have always held the Hindu community in high esteem about their tolerance, their level of tolerance. We want to uproot the Ayatollah Khomeinis from our communities. So why should we tolerate and we want to create Ayatollah Khomeinis in some other religions? Point one. On the issue of Nupur Sharma, I had on all the channels said that the Aligarh Muslim University, the Muslim clergy, the Hindu Mahasabha, the Banaras Hindu University, and all experts of Hinduism and Islam, they should create a platform and challenge all people, all commoners, if they have any doubts regarding any deities of any religion, in particular if they have doubt regarding Islam and Prophet Muhammad, they should speak anything, but we should clarify. Let us create that platform. Let us have the liberty of the people to speak. No religion is so soft that a politician can ravage it in these obnoxious terms. No. Hinduism is quite a sublime religion. Islam too is a sublime religion. Let the people say anything.
No, but it doesn't happen. No, Atikur Rahman, unfortunately, one second, sir. It doesn't happen. You look at the fanaticism in the name of blasphemy amongst Muslims. It's not just a phenomena in India. It happens in Pakistan. It is happening in America. I mean, Salman Rushdie has been attacked almost fatally for what? So it's very easy to say that it doesn't come from Islam. I buy that argument. But it is very much followed by Muslims. And that exceptionalism and fanaticism has been tiptoed around and virtually allowed in one community, I'm sorry to say. Sangeet Ragi wants to comment.
I want to make a very important comment. Hinduism doesn't make distinction between self and others, whereas Islam and Christianity both make distinction between self and others. There is a concept of kafir, there is a concept of iman wala. Those who do not believe in the Prophet, those who do not believe in the last judgment day, those who don't believe in Quran. You know, you can deny Mr. Atikur Rahman. You deny Mr. Atikur Rahman, but the religion which is in practice and which I can claim that globally the way the terrorist organization have been propagating Islam, the fashion, the way it has worked in last 1400th century, it has worked in the same phase. You read out the text of the medieval era, one after another. What they have done jihad against the kafirs.
Okay.
We for them are the kafirs. So until and unless I agree, I appreciate your liberal version, but it is possible only when the Islamic scholar debunk the concept of kafir the way it is practiced all over the world.
Okay, this is not the central focus of my debate. My central focus is just this: apply the same standards and yardsticks on people's feelings and hurt sentiments. One cannot be allowed to riot in the name of hurt sentiments while the others are just ignored and trampled upon. That's my basic point. And I am all for debate and discussion, as Atikur Rahman is saying. Let there be criticism. Frankly, that message or that, I'm sorry to say, but that message need not be given to Hinduism. Hinduism, it's inbuilt in Hinduism.
Exactly.
Their own scholars criticize Hinduism all the time. I'm sorry, that culture does not exist in other religions. Not as much. We have to accept it. But at least in a secular, democratic country, we must apply the standards the same. Set the same benchmark. Yes, Atikur.
Absolutely, absolutely.
No, Shivani, you see, we are mixing up the things. If a person is deliberately politicizing and denouncing something, it's uncalled for. And the law, it's a question of law. It's not a question of religion. What Mr. Sangeet Ragi is saying is, Islam forbids people to inherit anything beyond Allah, which is wrong. The Quran implicitly describes all faiths are very much invited by Allah that people should compete amongst themselves in righteousness. The only people going to heaven is not the Muslims, but the righteous people.
Okay.
Be they belong to any faith.
I'm not here to
They may be
debate on this.
Hindus, they may be Parsis, they may be Christians.
That's
Jews,
fair enough.
etc.,
Frankly, this is not meant to be a
Competing
debate on
righteousness.
religions
Not a
or
debate.
on theology. The basic
Exactly.
point is just that whatever is the sentiment of one community should also be granted as the sentiment of another community. Yes, Alak, I have 30 seconds. Final comments.
Completely agree with you, and I appreciate the comments which you made at the outset of this program. There is a double standard. If you see Rahul Gandhi, if you see the opposition leaders, if you see the society, no one is criticizing Mr. Chandrasekhar as Nupur Sharma was criticized. Nupur Sharma was expelled from the party. She is not in the party right now, whereas no action has been taken on Chandrasekhar, and he is being encouraged by the party leaders and party chiefs. So that is a very damaging and it's really concerning trend which is going on. There has to be a common sentiment. There can't be any double standard
Shivani, a small
either
point.
in the political parties or in the society.
Okay,
And what
Atikur
I'm
Rahman,
saying
20
is,
seconds,
I'm
please.
not saying that we should also become uncivilized.
Absolutely
There has
not.
to be
Nobody's for it.
complete
I am
removal
for
of double
debate
standard.
and discussion
Shivani, last
on
one.
even the contentious portions
Yeah.
of any book. I am for that. But what was Nupur Sharma then condemned for?
No,
Yes, Atikur Rahman.
Shivani, if anybody, be it Nupur Sharma, is having any misconceptions regarding the Prophet, it is a blot on me, my community. We were unable to explain the correct position of the Quran and Prophet Muhammad, and that is why the misconceptions.
But we didn't
and
see that.
conflicts are there.
Unfortunately,
should
we didn't
remove
see
the
that same
misconceptions and
response.
conflicts.
Unfortunately, we didn't see that same response. You may be alone in this.
Fight continues.
Fight continues. Okay, I
Fight
leave it at that.
continues.
I leave it at that. I thank all of our guests for joining us. Our second big story that we're debating today is also a little bit similar, because another Hindu temple has been vandalized in Australia, allegedly by Khalistani supporters. Sri Shiva Vishnu Temple in Melbourne was painted with anti-India and anti-Hindu graffiti. This is the second such attack on a Hindu temple in 5 days in Melbourne. On 12th of this month, Swaminarayan Mandir was also smeared with hate messages, again against Hindus and against India. The latest attack came on notice on 16th January when the devotees thronged to the temple for darshan and to celebrate Pongal festival. The attack comes just hours after the Khalistani supporters on the evening of January 15 allegedly tried to garner support for a referendum through a car rally in Melbourne. Temple after temple is under attack outside of India. Yet, why is there no acceptance that Hindus truly are under attack? Just last week, as I mentioned, in Melbourne on January 12, Hindu temple was desecrated and vandalized. Anti-Hindu graffiti was painted on walls. Before this, in Birmingham in September last year, an Islamist mob ambushed a Hindu temple, climbed on top of the walls and abused Hindus. Before that, in Leicester, another Hindu temple came under attack. Saffron flag outside the temple was pulled down in front of cameras and the police. And remember, there has been shades of this even in Canada. In Toronto, Swaminarayan Temple was defaced with anti-India graffiti on September 15, 2022. Isn't Hindu hate real? And isn't the world going soft on it because Hindus are minorities in these countries? We'll ask that big question to our guests next. Let's go across to the guests who are joining us. Puneet Sani is an activist joining us from New York. Sarah L. Gates is from Dharmic Ecology, Hindu human rights activist joining us from Australia. Dr. Monica Verma is a strategic affairs expert based in India. Sarah, I want to come to you first up. This is the second such attack that has happened in Melbourne. Traditionally, there is no history of conflict between different religions in Melbourne. I've been to Melbourne recently and before as well. It's a truly multicultural, multiracial community. Why do you think such attacks on Hindu temples are increasing?
Well, this is coming in the wake of a Khalistan referendum, which is being amplified by a number of different authentic and inauthentic accounts from around the world on social media. It's been building up here for quite a while. This type of rhetoric being displayed on banners, graffiti, and even on Gurudwaras is becoming commonplace. It's created an atmosphere of hatred toward Hindus, and unfortunately this has not been effectively curbed by the administration of these organisations, and they are registered charities for the main part. We've had 10 banners removed from around Victoria, around Melbourne, including one that was in Federation Square. So I think that the problem is that this particular sector of the diaspora doesn't understand Australia's multicultural values, probably hasn't grown up here and had that instilled in them in Australian schools like the rest of us, and seems to think they can act with impunity, vilifying Hindus and committing hate crimes against Hindus. These are not the only hate crimes. We did see around the Harris Park incident that 2 Sikhs were charged with 93Z offences, and they didn't actually make the media, so we don't know what the outcome of those offences were. All we heard about was the one Hindu nationalist who was involved. You might have heard of Vishal Jude, and he was made an example of, and I think the media failed to present the case holistically, and alienated, marginalised, vilified and demonised the Hindu community as if they were the ones to blame. But this came in the wake of Khalistani and anti-Hindu sentiment growing among this particular section of the community.
I wish I could say that this was only a few people who don't understand Australia or Melbourne's multiculturalism, and therefore they are doing this. But unfortunately, this is the reality in many other countries, and it just doesn't get spoken of in the same measure. For example, if a mosque was attacked in India, it would be global headlines. A church is attacked, global headlines. Here you have in 1 year 4 temples attacked in full public view, and yet people just don't want to talk about it. I want to go across to Puneet Sani. Puneet Sani, if Khalistani separatism, if this is behind it, is degenerating into, from a political fight into a complete anti-Hindu tirade, then surely these countries have to recognize it for that.
Namaste, Jema Bharti. Thank you for inviting me. You have a point, I actually think, so for example, but there are 2 points to it, right? So why are these things increasing? So what are the incentives and what are the costs? I'm a student of economics. You called me an activist, but I'm a student of economics. So if you do this, what the Khalistanis, their incentive is in spreading the hatred. And they are succeeding, and that's why they will keep on doing it. You are talking from a moral perspective because your incentives are there should be peace. So the question is, what is the Indian government that can inflict the cost on these people? Because, for example, there are, right, if you see, Sarah also can tell you, if you are a patriot, especially in diaspora, and you speak against, brotherhood or for the nation, there are only cost on you. And if you do this langar, you will get maybe a Pravasi Bharti award or something like that. So there are only incentives, like if you be a radical and the government tries to appease you. So this is, we have to understand, because the locus of responsibility lies on yourself. What is the Indian government doing? Our incentive is there should be peace and communal harmony. Are we offering the incentives and putting the cost on people who are disrupting it? We just can't. But
these crimes are not taking place in India. So ultimately, the first responsibility also lies with the government where these crimes are happening. They have to recognize this as hate crimes.
Right. But the thing is, the cost on the average Australian is not so much. So the thing is, what is happening in Australia, is pretty much a copy of what happened in Canada. And if you study what happened in Canada, the Canadian whites were like, okay, these two ethnic groups are fighting. What do we know about it? We don't care. But the thing is, the Indian government can do, these are terrorists or these are criminals. They are disrupting. Even if you see the farmer protesters, so much of came from Canada. So, you have like high commission relations. You say, if you don't behave, we are going to, make it charge the affairs or something like that. So again, this is what is happening is very, very dangerous. I think we are slipping back to like the 80s and 90s, and we have suffered so much. So Indian government should be very proactive and, figure out a way where they can inflict the cost on these people who are up to this.
I get your point, Puneet, but I still fundamentally feel that there's responsibility for these so-called multicultural democracies, liberal countries that preach everybody else, including India, on a daily basis on how minorities should be protected and what multiculturalism and true secularism and multi-religionism is. Why don't they show that on their ground? How can they allow a minority Hindu community in their cities terrorized like this? This is not about understanding two groups and you don't understand because you are some idiot, you don't understand what these groups are fighting about. I'm sorry. This is not about that. This is about one person taking the law into their hands and terrorizing another community. One-sided hate. It's not that difficult to identify that.
You're absolutely right. The subtle point I'm trying to make is, what you're making is a moral point. What the Australian government is, this Khalistanis, you see how they basically join up each other. So they guys, what is the cost on us? Right now, the cost on even putting a hand on this Khalistanis, you see how they are basically work and they get SGPC involved and they get this Khalsa Aid involved. Like this Khalsa Aid, Sarah will tell you better. They were not allowing this, this Punjabis to celebrate Baisakhi. This Khalsa Aid said, this is a Sikh festival. And, there was a mixed Hindu-Sikh couple. They made their life hell. And nobody came to their defense.
So you're saying that the back-end support to the Khalistanis is just too strong, that even India and other countries are not being able to break the back of that Khalistani terror. Let me bring in Monica into this too. Monica, look at the pattern. You look at what happened post some religious conflict and clash in UK last year that began in Leicester, right? There was an entire cabal that, devoid of any facts, in fact, in the face of facts, kept accusing the Hindu community of being aggressors, completely whitewashing the Islamist mobs in that city, in Leicester and Birmingham. Eventually, the truth had to come out. Anyways, too much is recorded on videos these days, so you can't escape it. But there is a culture of demeaning Hindus even when they are the ones who are the victims of such crimes.
I think, Shivani, you're right. There is a pattern to it. And, if we basically, get down to this pattern and we unpack it, what we find is that Hindus today are a target. And they are not just attacked on one front, that is by the Islamists, but they are now also being attacked by the Khalistanis. So on one hand, there's this Hindu and the Muslim divide, which is being exploited to the core. And they're also using the fact that, after 2014, we have BJP in power. So they're creating all kinds of, stupid propagandistic ideas that, this government is pro-Hindutva party and Hindus are responsible for this. So there's a widespread Hindu phobia or Hindumesia. And now this, is being used as a pretext to attack Hindus. If you look at the coverage of the Leicester violence, especially, they were sort of pointing out that it is a crime by the Hindutva people and Hindus are bad, and that kind of an imagery was used. But just tell me, if temples are destroyed and damaged and, such graffiti is drawn on the temple walls, not just in Canada, but also in UK and now in Australia as well, then where the Hindus are at fault? So, there is, so two things.
That is what I'm saying. So what do you think, Monica, what do you think? Is this because Hindus are not very organized? They don't have a political version of their religious identity, that they are not taken seriously at a global stage as a bloc? Their sentiments don't matter. Even when they are victims, they are blamed.
See, definitely, Hindus need to organize themselves because, as experience can tell us, if we look at the Abrahamic religions and especially, look at the Jews, they have been able to collectivize their efforts. They've been able to, point out. And in many countries, if you question the Nazi thing that happened, it's a punishable offense. But when it comes to Hindus, anyone can basically come on even an Indian platform and end up saying that the Kashmir files is basically, you know, a piece of propaganda. So that's the kind of thing, you know, that Hindus have been tolerating for so many years. And now that attacks against Hindus have become so widespread, so mainstream, I'm sure the Hindus and especially the educated ones will realize the power of lobbying, and they'll realize the power of
that's one way to go. But Sarah, I want to understand from you too, how seriously are these attacks being taken in Melbourne and in Australia generally now? Do you think that the government is waking up, that there is a section that is particularly targeting Hindus?
Yes, they do know who they are. They do know what's going on, and that's because each of us have informed them and continue to send information through to the security hotline. And anyone can do that, by the way. If they see anything online, they can just forward it to the security hotline. So we have been informing the Australian Federal Police, ASIO and State Police, but I think the issue comes when there's different, look, there's a lot to be said about this, so I'm just trying to get my point across in the most productive way. Australian media has blacked this out. Australian media have been platforming the voices of activists who have been targeting, cyberbullying, harassing, writing submissions and lobbying in the BDS style against Hindus, and also the same groups lobby against Jews. So there is a continuity today between anti-Semitism and anti-Hinduism because of the way that these activist groups have aligned and amalgamated, like you were mentioning before, Monica G. and Puneet, you're both aware of this, Islamists, Khalistanis, communists, and to some extent Congress supporters who are in diaspora have aligned with these against this BJP Hindutva kind of like, you know, anti-India type of rhetoric.
Yes. But what they're
in the same way that
Sarah,
anti-Semitics are anti-Israel and they attack Jews. It's identical. So I think the government needs to understand that.
Yeah, I mean, the government cannot be an ignorant or a mute spectator party to this. They fundamentally have a responsibility to not allow anybody being terrorized. Puneet, final words from you. I get your point that you're making, that India needs to increase the cost on such activities. What would you like seeing, for example, such community do at their level? From what Sarah is describing, this is a concerted campaign, almost on the lines of anti-Semitic campaigns that Hindus are facing in these global communities now, and the world is just watching it, maybe because the power of the lobby is too strong. What do you think local communities can do against this then?
No, I think even like local communities, you see, for example, what is happening now. For example, Sarah is saying in Australia, I am saying in New York. Right now, it's basically a lone wolf kind of, you know, like people inspired by their own thing. Like the government is completely absent. And the other side, you know, they don't have so much support, but they are allied with all this, what she said, you know, communist and Islamist and anti-Hindutva brigade or whatever. So, you know, like there are individuals who can, you know, speak up and do it, but it is not something sustainable. And what you talk about community, you know, like they have bullied the communities because they resort to violence. I just give you one example, you know, your mind would be blown. So, for example, we all remember the ghastly scene that happened on October 15th in this Kisan Andolan, you know, where this Nihangs lynched, and actually he was a Sikh man that they lynched. Yes. Do you know exactly 1 month before, on 15th September, this happened in Brisbane. So, you know, they fought and they chopped off the hand of somebody in Brisbane, Australia. So these people are violent criminals. So they have basically like, you know, like the community, like the decent people have nothing. So the Australia has to enforce the rule of law. You know, you can't fight with the criminals because it is not a debate that we speak of. What we are dealing is with violent
This is
criminals.
basic criminal activity. That's all I'm saying. You have to at least apply your laws. Forget about the ideology and the ideological war. And I think from what you're describing is fundamentally what's happened in India over the decades being replicated outside of India. The media, the influential cabal, certain political aspects, Islamists all combining and basically terrorizing Hindus and virtually condemning Hindus and making being Hindu a bad thing. So we'll leave it at that. It's important to have these discussions to understand how this pattern works. I thank all of our guests for sharing their perspectives and their information. Time for a very short break. On the other side, a quick update of the biggest stories of the day.
that they have won, but they will also concentrate on the reason for the losses. So there'll be a whole lot of this Chintan Manthan that they do to find out the reason.
Sinha, you heard what Jairam Ramesh said, that the Prime Minister's roadshow was in response to the humongous response that Rahul Gandhi is getting during the Bharat Jodo Yatra. Are you nervous that 2024, and we're 15 months away, may not be as much of a easy cakewalk as 2019 and 2014 were?
Good evening, Zaka. Rahul Gandhi's yatra is a yatra without a cause. So Bharat Jodo is anything but Bharat Jodo. We barely took out a couple of hours of yatra, which was mainly for thanksgiving to the people of the country who have consistently supported the party and further reassuring them that we will be consistently there for them. The difference between the BJP and the opposition is very clear today. The BJP wants to take India into 2047 as a true Vishwaguru. The opposition is desperate to take India back to the days of 1990s of Bihar, and the only motive is self-aggrandizement. There are four things basically which define the present opposition. One is brazen corruption, whether it is Rahul Gandhi, who's out on bail in the National Herald case, or Lalu Yadav and his family, who sooner than later law will catch up with them in the IRCTC land case. Number two, Hindu bashing. Today I'm challenging Rahul Gandhi to take a stand against Chandrasekhar, the guy, the minister in Bihar, who has repeatedly been on a diatribe against the Hindu community, who has been abusing Ramcharitmanas. Can Rahul Gandhi or any opposition leader take a stand on that? No, they can't.
Okay.
Third, obviously, is the freebie politics. Just without any sense of the economics involved, Rahul Gandhi and other opposition leaders want to promise the moon without realizing that their own financial, the person, Montek Ahluwalia, who was one of the mainstays of the economic policies of between 2004 to 2014, he has been principally opposed to the same freebie politics.
Okay, so let me ask Dr. Ajay Kumar, I'll get to the issues in 1 second, but the fact is, Dr. Ajay Kumar, the BJP and the Prime Minister are in numero uno position for 2024, not least because of the recent assembly election results that we've seen in Gujarat, for example. After almost 30 years in power, the BJP comes back with the biggest majority yet. The previous round of assembly elections earlier in 2022, the BJP wins 4 out of 5 states, including the biggest in the country, Uttar Pradesh. What gives you confidence that the Congress will be able to put up a challenge, and specifically Rahul Gandhi will be able to put up a challenge in 2024, given what happened in 2019 and in 2014?
So, Zaka, a couple of things before my colleague from the Bharatiya Janata Party. When they give freebies or whatever they call it, they said free vaccine and kept, as if the people of India don't pay tax. And the Prime Minister and the poster all across the country. And when they were giving these vaccines, for them, when they were giving the vaccines, it's, they think it's not a freebie. When they give free electricity, they promise free electricity, they promise different kinds of food, grain. They put posters saying that the Prime Minister is giving you free food, 5 kgs per people. So it's shameful. The second issue is, why doesn't the Prime Minister speak and Mr. Amit Shah speak against why ask Mr. Rahul Gandhi? If you have so much of guts, ask Prime Minister to speak against the minister in Bihar. So don't keep preaching to other people. First ask your leaders to speak against them and see what will happen in Bihar. The third issue, which is most important, is, look, Zaka, if you and everybody on the panel, look at it that the Prime Minister and the leaders of this government, posters all over the place. If you go to any developed country, Vishwaguru 2047 and kind of statement my colleague makes. Interesting. Is it a Vishwaguru to put posters of your Prime Minister everybody, or is it like Uzbekistan or Uzbekistan or Azerbaijan and all these countries, which have dictatorship and all? This is the only one of these South Asian countries where you continue to see, you want to be Vishwaguru, but you do all things which go against a Vishwaguru. Third issue, if we are Vishwaguru, then why is it in 2023 a scheduled caste boy gets beaten up in Uttar Kashi for entering a temple and none of these BJP leaders speak about it? What is this Vishwaguru?
No,
when
we are diverging from the topic at hand, which is that 2024, the electoral battle for 2024. have the lines been drawn today with the roadshow and then, of course, the Bharat Jodo that's been there for the last 100+ days now?
No, so
I want to ask, let me ask Smita Prakash, you know, one thing that opposition leaders, as well as some in the BJP, may privately admit that Bharat Jodo seems to have changed Mr. Rahul Gandhi's image somewhat. He's not derisively sort of joked about. He's not looked at as someone who is clueless or out of depth. He seems to have, quote unquote, come of age in this yatra. Do you reckon that that is a possibility, or that is something that you're seeing on the ground? And how may that translate or not necessarily translate into electoral success? Because like I said, the BJP just won Gujarat big, they won Uttar Pradesh, they won 4 out of 5 states in the assembly elections. And in 2023, where you have 9 states going to polls, it's primarily Congress versus BJP.
Yeah, Zaka, I think there will be one section of the opposition which will continue to mock Rahul Gandhi for being a non-serious politician. But they also have to now, I think, recalibrate.
Welcome back. A quick check of the day's top stories. Today was the second and final day of BJP National Executive Meeting in the national capital. Post this, Home Minister Amit Shah announced that the tenure of BJP National President JP Nadda has been extended till June next year. A big win for India. UN Security Council has designated Pakistan-based Abdul Rahman Makki as a global terrorist. Makki is the brother-in-law of Lashkar-e-Taiba leader Hafiz Saeed, who's the mastermind of 26/11 Mumbai attacks. Civic apathy continues in Bengaluru as another road caved in after pipeline work. This is the third such incident that has been reported in a week. Earlier, a woman and her 2-year-old son were killed after a metro pillar collapsed on them. Another shocker from Bengaluru, a 71-year-old man was dragged by a man on a scooter in full public view on a busy road. The victim is currently under medical treatment. The 2-wheeler driver has been apprehended. This happened after the biker crashed into a car and tried to run away when the car owner latched onto him. Cold wave is sweeping the national capital. The temperatures dropped to 1.4 degrees in Delhi yesterday. People took refuge at a shelter home in Delhi's Kashmiri Gate. This shelter provides home facilities like blankets, mattresses, meals and medicines. Around 150 people took shelter here. 2 terrorists were killed in a gunfight with security forces in central Kashmir's Budgam. The shootout took place after police and army tried to stop a suspected vehicle near the district court complex today morning. An oil tanker exploded at a dockyard in Thailand. 1 person was killed and 7 were injured after a fire broke out. The origins of the blast are yet to be confirmed. Ukraine's city of Dnipro is reeling from a Russian missile strike that has killed at least 40 people in an apartment block. Ukrainian President Zelensky has insisted the West must speed up its supply of weapons to it. China has reported a population decline for the first time in 6 decades, a term that is expected to mark the start of a long period of decline with profound implications for its economy. Spain is marking St. Anthony's Day with hundreds of pet owners taking their pets to church to get blessings. St. Anthony is known as the patron saint of animals. And finally, leaving you with visuals of the Eiffel Tower in Paris displaying slogans in support of Iran anti-hijab protests. Thanks a lot for watching.
Namaste, Jai Hind, and welcome to this edition of The Right Stand. I'm Anand Narasimhan. Ladies and gentlemen, our Prime Minister has said that the future over the next 20-25 years, as we build up to 100 years of our independence, that future, that Amrit Kal, rests in the hands of this country's youth. They are our dividend. They are our strength. Bharat perhaps has the youngest population across the world, with 65% or nearabouts below the age of 35, and that number increases if we take the number benchmark of 40. But tonight, on this edition of The Right Stand, we're going to